Hello and welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Mike.
And I'm Hanny.
And welcome back to our building character look at how we can learn to get along with the other people in our lives.
Now, sometimes, of course, getting along with other people is no problem at all. In fact, it can be so easy that we never even think about it. We love spending time with our friends and close family, don't we? The time we spend together with these people can be full of love and joy. And if we ever have problems with these people, it is easy to fix them and move on.
Yeah, and those are the great relationships in our lives. And they bring us lots of joy and happiness and all those other good things. But then there are the relationships with some people that we really don't get along with. For whatever reason, we just don't click with these people. We just don't get along. And there always seems to be a problem that we are dealing with. Or if there isn't a problem with them right now, there will be one soon. But for whatever reason, maybe we work together or are in the same class at school, or maybe they're part of our family or in our circle of friends, but for some reason we just can't get away from them. We have to see them.
Yeah, and these difficult relationships can cause us lots of stress. We are always getting into little fights or arguments, and even the simple things that we have to do together can break down into disagreements and hurt feelings.
Right. So today we are going to look at some of the ways that you can try to avoid having fights all the time with the people that you don't get along with. Hopefully it can be like a little toolkit for you to use to try to keep those difficult relationships under control and to keep you and the people around you as happy as possible, even when you are dealing with difficult people.
Okay, before we begin reading though, we need to check out some of the new vocabulary for today. Let's go and do that now, and then we'll come back to begin the article. 好，今天的课文要提供几个与人和睦相处的诀窍。首先，对方在跟你讲话时，除了聆听，也要试着对他们的言论来展现兴趣，试着去了解他们的观点。先来看两个单字 ，tip， 在课文里面是指诀窍，是个名词。例如 ，With these tips, you can easily pass the test.With these tips, you can easily pass the test. 有了这些诀窍，你就可以轻易的通过考试了。好，下一个单词 comment， 它表示言论、评语、评论，在这边是名词的用法。例如 ，Please feel free to leave your comments.Please feel free to leave your comments. 欢迎您留下任何评论，请随意的留下评论，不用拘束哦。第二个诀窍是，当你不同意对方论点的时候，尽量不要说任何负面的话哦，而且要用平静的口吻说话，这样才不容易引起纷争。好，这边有两个单字 negative， 它是形容词，形容负面的，像是Johnny used to have a negative attitude toward life. Johnny used to have a negative attitude toward life. Johnny 以前对人生抱持着负面消极的态度。最后一个单词 calm 在课文里面是当形容词，表示平静的、镇定的、冷静的，像是 It's important to stay calm during an earthquake.It's important to stay calm during an earthquake. 碰到地震的时候，保持冷静是很重要的。好，那现在看完单字例句，我们来读课文吧。
Here are some tips for getting along. First, when someone talks to you, don't just listen. Try to show interest in their comments. More importantly, try to understand their point of
view.Explanation 1.
Okay, so part 2 of our article, Learning to Get Along with Others, simply begins by telling us what we'll be reading about and learning today. It says, here are some tips for getting along. And before we get to those tips, let's get some grammar tips from Daphne in our first grammar point of the day.
大家好，我是 Daphne。今天的第一则文法是 Here are some A for B， 意思是这里有一些 A 要给 B。这是地方副词 here 这里放在句首的倒装句，先说动词 are， 再说复数主词 some A。For 是介系词，意思是给。我们来看个例句 Here are some letters for Nicolette。 这里有几封信要给 Nicolette。
谢谢 Daphne 老师的讲解。有时候我们得跟合不来的人打交道，那如果没办法好好相处，就很容易产生争执。当意见分歧的时候，就有可能会闹到翻脸了。补充几个好用的单字 ，argue 是争论、争吵，在后面加 ment 就变成它的名词。可是注意哦，它的 e 不见了，然后才加 ment 变成 argument 争执、争论。好，那么 disagree 表示不同意、不赞成，那么 disagreement 表示反对意见，意见分歧不一致。好，那我们接着就来看看几个跟人和睦相处的诀窍吧。Okay, some good tips for getting along with difficult people. Here we go.
All right, and so next in the article it says, first, when someone talks to you, don't just listen. That's an interesting bit of advice. Listening is important, of course. You should always try to listen to what people are saying and give them all of your attention. That's just polite.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Put down your phone or stop what you're doing and focus on what they are saying. No one likes to feel that they are being ignored. And here's the useful bit of advice. You can do more than just listening. As we learn from the next sentence of the article, try to show interest in their comments. That's right. That will make them feel that their words and ideas are important to you. And who knows, if you listen carefully, show some interest, and even ask some good questions, you might learn something.
Yeah, and by doing all of this, it will be easier for you to get to know what type of person they are and how they think. And this can help you to really get to know them as a person. As we reach the break, the article says, more importantly, try to understand their point of view. Yes, this is one of the best skills you can have for getting to understand other people. It takes some effort. It's not always easy, but if you can understand another person's point of view, how they see the world or how they think about things, and this will allow you to get some idea about how they think and maybe even why they act or do things in certain ways.
Okay, it's time for us to take our break right here, but before we go off and do that, let's check in with Daphne because she has our second grammar point to tell us about.
第二则文法是 point of view， 意思是观点。Point 是名词，意思是要点。View 是名词，意思是观看。Point of view 字面意思就是观看的要点，也就是观点。我们来看个例句。Clive sees his wife's point of view. Clive 了解太太的观点。
Okay, it looks like it's break time. We'll go and do that now, and then we'll be back with the rest of today's article.
Second, if you agree with them, say something positive. However, if you don't agree, try not to say anything negative. Also, speak in a calm way. That way, you don't cause a fight. Last, if you have nothing nice to say, just keep quiet. Remember, we're all different, but that doesn't mean we can't get along.
Explanation 2.
Okay, so we're back and let's keep going with our article. So, the first bit of good advice we read about how to get along with people told us about listening, showing interest in what people are saying, and trying to understand their point of view. This can help us to understand them better and this can make it easier to get along with them.
Right, okay, so let's move on to next bit of advice. Back in the article, we read, second, if you agree with them, say something positive. First, you have to listen carefully to what they are saying, and then if you agree, say something positive or good about what they just told you. Of course, it shows that you care about what they are saying, and also that you might agree. And this shows that you have something in common. Okay, looks like we have another grammar point in this sentence, so let's take a quick break so that Daphne can tell us more about it.
第三则文法是 A agrees with B， 意思是 A 同意 B。Agree 是不及物动词，意思是同意，后方用介系词 with 与引出同意的对象。此外，还可以用介系词 on 关于引出同意的事情。我们来看个例句 ：Jerry agrees with Jason。Jerry 与 Jason 看法是一致的。
So listen carefully, and if you like what that person is saying, say something positive back to them. And if you don't agree with what they are saying, what do? Well, this is where arguments and disagreements might start, right? So if you don't like what they are saying or disagree, and then you just say, "You're wrong,"
You're wrong,
or something negative like that, then people's feelings can get hurt and arguments can start. So, as the article advises, however, if you don't agree, try not to say anything negative. Right, if it's just a person's opinion and you don't fully agree, it might be best just to keep quiet rather than to start a fight.
And if you do choose to say something, pay attention to how you say it. As it says next, also speak in a calm way. That way, you don't cause a fight. Don't let your emotions come out too strongly if you can.
Okay, and this brings us to our last bit of advice about getting along with people, especially people you might not always agree with. And we read last, if you have nothing nice to say, just keep quiet. Yes, it might be hard to do this sometimes, but believe me, fixing things after a fight breaks out is much harder than avoiding the fight in the first place. We have that saying, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all.
I totally agree with you. And our final sentence also gives us a good tip for dealing with everyone we might meet. And it says, remember, we're all different, but that doesn't mean we can't get along, right? It takes lots of different people to make up the world, and if you can't get along with all of them, try to accept that sometimes we are just made different. We might not all get along, but that's okay.
And making yourself or others unhappy because of it is never going to be good for anyone. Okay, folks, thanks for spending some of your time with us. We wish you all the very best and look forward to seeing you guys back here soon. So take care and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Learning to get along with others.
Here are some tips for getting along. First, when someone talks to you, don't just listen. Try to show interest in their comments. More importantly, try to understand their point of view. Second, if you agree with them, say something positive. However, if you don't agree, try not to say anything negative. Also, speak in a calm way. That way, you don't cause a fight. Last, if you have nothing nice to say, just keep quiet. Remember, we're all different, but that doesn't mean we can't get along.
Welcome to Niagara Falls. I hope you like water because we have a lot of it here. This place is called Niagara Falls because it is actually made up of 3 waterfalls. There is also an island between 2 of the falls. It's called Goat Island. No, there are no goats there. The island got its name after a man named John Stedman brought his goats to the island. Stedman brought his goats there to protect them from wolves, but the cold winter killed most of Stedman's goats. When British soldiers heard this story, they called the island Goat Island. Here's another interesting fact about Niagara Falls. In 2012, a man named Nick Wallenda walked on a rope across the falls. Since Niagara Falls is located on the border between the United States and Canada, Wallenda had to present his passport when he arrived on the Canadian side. Isn't that funny?
Here is more information.
Waterfall. That river comes down in a waterfall off the cliff. Border. This train will cross the border between China and India. Glacier. These glaciers are made of layers of solid ice. Hydropower. Hydropower is produced by the energy of falling water or fast-running water. Drain. The men used a big pipe to drain the water from the pool and then cleaned it. Separate. The two countries are separated by a tall mountain. Erosion. Soil erosion by rain in this city is very serious. Veil. The bride's face was covered by a white veil. Mist. The small village disappeared in the mist. Preservation. The students are working for environmental preservation. Today's lesson was quite fascinating, right? I know I thought so. Well, we hope to see you here again next time.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny， 又到我们1分钟的单元喽。那我们今天要1分钟的时间来复习4个单字，同学们您都准备好了没？1分钟计时开始。第二单字，它可以表达小费，也可以表达诀窍 tip。你知道哪个字吗？叫做 tip。那我们用诀窍这个意思来造句。The book provides some useful cooking tips。那本书它提供一些很实用的烹饪诀窍。第二单字呢，它可以当名词或当动词，用来表达言论、评语或是评论。这个字叫做 comment。那我们要用名词来造句。The nasty comment made her cry。那一则恶意的评论让她都哭了。别人讲的话不要在意好吗？重点是你自己怎么看待自己。好，第三个单字是形容词，形容负面的。负面的怎么说？叫做 negative。好，相反的就是 positive， 是正面积极的。Okay，her father told her to avoid negative people as much as possible。他父亲要他尽量避开负面的人，尽量少跟负面的人相处。第四个单字是平静的、镇定的字，就是 calm。Take a deep breath and stay calm。好，深呼吸，保持冷静。就算没有在1分钟之内过关，也要深呼吸，保持冷静。好，那我们就下次继续努力吧。下次见了，记得要复习哦。
See you next time.